PodcastOne presents the Steve Austin Show Classics.
All right, here we go. I'm sitting here at 317 Gimmick Street. Goddamn, I always like to talk about the business of professional wrestling. And, man, I was on Twitter the other night, and I found Rip Rogers' Twitter account, Hustler2754. I'm guessing that's your birthday, February 7th, 1954. Rip Rogers, how are you?
Yes, that's right. Twitter, baby, at Hustler2754. That's right. 63rd birthday the other day. Still kicking, ain't croaked yet.
How you feeling?
Oh, shit, I'm living the dream, baby. You know, hell, when you get run over and have a couple hips in you and neuropathy in your feet, shit, it don't get no better than that.
Hey, man, just to bring me up to speed, you just turned 63, and you were telling me the other day when I called you on the phone, you was down there. I guess you was in Louisville, Kentucky. I guess you're training at OVW. You got hit by a car and left. Was it hit and run? Yeah,
it was hit and run. At the time, OVW was developmental for WWE, and I was driving down to Louisville every day, and excuse my French, but they wouldn't give me any insurance, so I had to have another job at UPS at night to have insurance. So some girl at work come around the corner, knocked me deader than a hammer. Boom, I was down. I got her license plate number. And the two-time employee of the month, all of a sudden, I was the persona non grata because it made them look bad.
So what happened again? Were you in a car, or you got hit by the car, just your person?
Oh hell, I was come out of the office and stepped into the road in the parking lot, and one of their employees driving somebody else's car with no insurance, no et cetera, license or anything. They ran me over and took off, and I got their license plate number.
Right,
so that was lovely.
Now, years ago, we worked an angle. I had to go get my neck cut on. I had to get C3-4 fused. So we did a little gig in the parking lot where somebody come by, clipped a stunt double. All of a sudden, we stopped rolling film. I laid down, we start filming, and all of a sudden somebody ran over Stone Cold to get him out of the picture. Okay, yeah. Rip, that was an angle. And you saw the bump that guy took, if you saw it or whatever. But how fast was this lady going? What'd you do? Did you flip over the hood like a damn movie star? Did you go underneath the wheels? What happened? Because I'm sure it wasn't as glamorous as they would like to make on TV.
No, I wasn't expecting to bump, so I did put it over a little bit, but then I jumped right back up, and I had the adrenaline in me. In the meantime, I'm trying to get to go to work, and people are looking at me. I'm walking in there, and I'm fucking adrenalized up. So, hell, I just thought it was another night at the office, and I just knew everything was hurting. But anyway, a day in the life of the hustler, I guess.
So what did they do? You take you down to the emergency room? What was the diagnosis of it?
Oh, yeah, a buddy of mine that worked next to me there in the small store, he took me to the emergency room, so I got out there about 1:30. In the morning, but the next day I was down at OVW, in a goddamn wheelchair.
Hey, but that doctor told you something back in the day. He goes, "You'll probably be all right, but this thing's going to hit you down the road." You told me you started feeling it finally.
Yeah, I finally did. All of a sudden, my hips was throbbing, and my thing like you do your knee pull-ins, and tendons right there was just killing me. I didn't know what the hell it was. I thought I'd pulled something. I said, I ain't got nothing to pull anyway. But all of a sudden I had to have one hip done and the other hip done, and then the Colts doctor, he did me the one hip, and it's the shits now, of course, and then some little redneck doctor from Seymour, Indiana did the new style, and it's not like new, but it's twice as good as the other one. So small town over the big city, boy, once again.
Hey, man, how your knees doing and your shoulders?
Oh, I got 2 torn rotary cuffs. It don't matter. I already got my 3 hours into gym today, doing my nothing but reps with almost no weight, and don't care. Get that little pump going, and all of a sudden 5 pounds feels like 50. So what the hell, right?
Hey, man, I was reading one of your tweets you sent out, and I think you were working out, and we were talking just the other day. You said you're doing sets of 100 and so forth.
Yeah.
Said you'd went to the bathroom because you had to puke. Dude, I ain't puked from working out in a long time, so maybe I need to pick up a little intensity tips from you. What did you do to make yourself puke from working out?
Just push faster and don't have any rest.
How much weight you got on the bar?
Oh, I use, they're all machines. All machines and cables.
So you got away from the free weights.
Oh yeah, because it was just killing me. The free weights were. I'm not getting ready for the Olympia, so what the hell? I'm trying to look above average for the 63-year-old. Of course, the asshole at the gym says, "Oh, you look great for 63-year-old." I said, "Fuck you, motherfucker! You'll never look this good. You're in the prime of life. Go fuck yourself."
Hey, so how long you been teaching down at OVW? You still doing it, right?
Yeah, I'll be down there Saturday and Sunday. Hell, it's been about 20 years, I'm thinking, close to that or whatever. So, hell, 64 people have got jobs with WWE, ROH, TNA, whatever, that come through the door in a beginner's class. Not the guys they chose, you know, that you're our super stud, but guys that come in off the street, starting beginners. Well, hell, that was like Santino was one.
Yep.
Mike Mondo was one of the Spirit Squad. JTG, he was one. Armando Estrada. All these guys come in, beginner's class, got into my class, and then I taught them the old style wrestling, where everything was called in the ring, and everybody had to go an hour. And that's the way it was. And I said, if you get this shit down and you get a job, forget everything I goddamn told you, and you just do as you're goddamn told. But and that's what that is. If you can get the heart, if you can learn this, when all of a sudden you have your what I call the prearranged bullshit matches of getting all your shit lined up, then you'll be able to handle anything.
If you were to get back in the ring, say everything was all copacetic with your body, would you be able to go into the ring with the prefab match? With
people lining their shit up? Hell no. No, I'm an artiste. I'm a heel calling this son of a bitch. You know, I had guys doing 2-hour matches. You know what I mean? Just unbelievable, and they get this shit because I tell them you can't watch TV because you'll be confused. But those guys are rich, so what the hell? And that's what you want to be. So, but learn this shit from the ground floor. Nothing but the nuts and bolts, the basics. And it's practice, 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 and you get this shit down pretty soon. Your body language will be there. Your facials will be there. You'll get all this shit no matter how tired you are. You'll be able to think, and you'll be able to execute. So it's a labor of love, not very it's not helping the pocketbook very much, but I'm spiritually cleansed by it. How's that?
It's obvious that you still love the business. You still teach. You still care. I mean, most of your tweets are about wrestling. You love the business. When did you start paying attention to the business? Did you watch as a kid?
Oh, my God. When I was 5 years old, my grandpa taught me to see Dick the Bruiser versus Cowboy Bob Ellis at the high school where I grew up at in Seymour, Indiana. Then I was a member, and I got all the magazines. They used to have a whole shitload of magazines. About 7 or 8 of them would come out once a month. Hell, I was a member of the Handsome Jimmy Valiant fan club, and I'd watch Dick the Bruiser wrestling. I'd adjust the antenna. I could get the Sheiks wrestling out of Cincinnati. I could get Louisville wrestling, and I could get, on a good Saturday night, I could get Buzz Benson All-Star Wrestling out of Paducah, Kentucky. Damn, it don't get no better than that.
No shit. Hey, word on the street is you never went to a wrestling school. You learned from the guys in the ring, on the road, listening to cars. What age did you make your debut?
I was 22. I was teaching school, and I was a football coach. But all I wanted to do was get in the wrestling business. And I'm going, how in the hell do I get in the wrestling business? I mean, it was closed. It was kayfabe. They kayfabed me down at the matches at Indianapolis. I went and saw the commissioner. He was trying to help me out with Dick the Bruiser. Of course, he was pushing Bruiser, so that automatically Bruiser hated me because we didn't tell Dick the Bruiser anything. So a buddy of mine, now this old guy this guy that wasn't even smart had a ring at a VFW club we got into a couple times, and we sort of broke in, but broke his boards and everything, but he didn't prosecute. But this buddy of mine named Steve Cooper, he got me he went down to WOAY in Beckley, West Virginia, and had a TV match. I didn't believe that asshole. So he taped the son of a bitch on the telephone of the audio part. So I got booked the next week. So then this was an hour and a half story, which we're not going to do. So here I am in my first match. I got my K&H specials, my Carl and Hildegard stuff, my $52 boxing boots, my 5.0 trunks. I'm dressed to fucking kill. And I just know, and I'm not even smart. And all of a sudden, the guy says, "Oh, you're Bill Good. You go over." And I'm going, "Yeah, go over what?" Right? He says, "Now when you get the pencil, you go home." I'm going, "Holy fuck," you know. So I'm wrestling some guy, and he tells me what to do. And I said, "Fuck, you grabbed my arm. Fuck you, motherfucker," you know. So he hits me. Boom. I'm over. I didn't even hurt. That son of a bitch ain't got a punch at all. Then he hits me again. Oh, fuck, right in the ear. Son of a bitch. He fell. I said, "Sell what?" You know. But anyway, I made it through that one, and I'm watching him before the match. He's cutting the goddamn Blizzade up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, holy shit, this motherfucker's going to fucking carve me up. I'm scared shitless. So anyway, so you can imagine what I went through. So, but from there, I got to go to Sheik's TV, Nick Goulis's TV, Bob Geigel's TV in Kansas City, St. Joe, and in the Chase Hotel there. And then a couple of weeks later after that, I went and did the WWF TV at the old Philly Arena. So, shit, I was on fire, baby.
Well, man, tell me a few stories about Dick the Bruiser, because I've only heard about the man, and he was a little bit before me, and I didn't get that region of TV because I grew up in South Texas. But
right.
You have a picture on your Twitter account of him back when wrestlers used to look tough, and Dick the Bruiser looked tough. I know he was a big draw. What was it about Dick the Bruiser that drew money? That
son of a bitch. Well, it's like he said, he don't cover anybody unless it's a finish. Nobody kicks out on the Bruiser, right? Unless it's a Texas death match and you drop 9 falls in 9 minutes adjusting his tights the whole time you're covering him, right? Oh, but he was just a physical freak. He could walk on his hands and shit, and he was probably legit 5'11", probably weighing up to 275 at one time. You know, played in the NFL, and I think he got kicked out of 3 colleges. And he was, he was mischievous. Let's put it that way.
Well, mischievous in what way?
This is sort of a PG show, isn't it?
No, this is Unleashed. You can say whatever you want to say.
Oh, it's Unleashed. So when he went to court for something, and they said he was accused of having performing fellatio, or fellatio being performed on him or whatever, and he says, "I don't know, Judge. I just know the bitch was giving me a blowjob." So that's DB, Dick Bruiser, baby. So he would be driving down the highway in his fucking big-ass Lincoln or whatever. I just knew it was some expensive car. And I'm driving in my fucking Pinto. All of a sudden, the lights are off, and he's tapping me, boom, from behind. And I'm scared. What the fuck is it, right? And there he was. That was DB, Dick Bruiser, baby. But he had Indianapolis, and then he was partners with Gagne in Chicago, see? So there was that big payday. Then he was a big-ass card in St. Louis for I don't know how many years. And then Flair said he knew he had it made when he sold out the Checker Dome with Dick the Bruiser. Bruiser wasn't going to sell. He might register, and that's the way it was. But he was a hell of a draw, and he got banned from Madison Square Garden for life in '57 for having a riot. Then he got banned in Cincinnati for throwing some woman that wasn't a plant in a wheelchair. He threw her out of the fucking wheelchair. And his mother was, I think, the head of the Democratic convention, or the Democrats in Indiana. So let's just say he got away with a lot of shit, which it was me. And then he ran Barnett out of town, and he took over. And Barnett went off to Australia, and Bruiser and Snyder took over Indianapolis. And then he also took over Louisville and Evansville. But he was too lazy to promote them, so he rented them out to Jerry Jarrett. So Jarrett was kicking back 10%, so Bruiser was sitting back getting paid doing nothing. And that went on for a while, where Jarrett finally said, "No, that ain't happening no more." But that was that, and you worked Jarrett's territory. So years ago, Louisville was on fire. Evansville was always a good club. But I'm rambling. Okay. Sorry.
Hey, so what was Dick's basic repertoire in the ring? Just a lot of offense and registering?
Yeah, hey, he was Stone Cold before Stone Cold was.
Interesting.
He was an aggressive, looked like a goddamn human bowling ball. He was so round, you know what I mean? Then he'd take those teeth out, and he'd register, and he'd spit, and he'd hit. Whenever he was the only guy, whenever he hit Heenan, he bled. Nobody else ever touched Heenan. But the Bruiser, whenever he hit Heenan, that son of a bitch was bleeding. And what a goddamn worker Heenan was when he was young. I mean, when he got to WWE, he was old, for a performer. But when he was young, that son of a bitch could flip. He could flop like a fish. He used that Blizzade. He was bloody, had that ice white hair, and that was the good rib. Bobby the Brain had a ninth grade education. So,
goddamn, he was good.
He was just, oh man. I remember he went to Atlanta and he was off TV, and he come home to Indianapolis after like 3 years just to see his mother. He just hung out the matches. He stepped his head out of the dressing room. All of a sudden, the whole fucking building just started booing, screaming, and yelling shit. He just shook his fucking head, smiled, and went back to the dressing room.
Still had heat.
Once you're over, you're over.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Steve Austin Unleashed.
Hey, let's talk about your Twitter account a little bit, @Hustler2754. I just pulled off some of the tweets that you've been sending out. You want to go through some of those and expand upon them?
Sure. What happens, Steve, I'm usually on the bike at the gym for an hour. So I got an hour to kill, right? So I do that. Or I'm on third shift where I'm working, and I got a kayfabe that I'm supposed to be working, but I'll be hitting some tweets on that too.
Before we get to Twitter, tell me about these damn workouts. The other day you told me you said you worked out 3 times in one day. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty simple because you just push yourself to the max. Okay, it's like I run in the fucking gym, and I got 30 minutes, okay? And then here's this son of a bitch. He's on my goddamn cable thing. So I was just going to do 100 reps right bicep, 100 reps left bicep, 100 reps triceps push down, 100 shrugs in a row, 100 front raises in a row, 100 side raises, okay? Then you go in 100 leg extensions, 100 leg curls, 100 presses, 100 lat pulls, 100 butterfly things for your chest, and 100 machine presses. And that takes about 30 minutes under perfect conditions, and you're always pushing yourself. But you walk out of there in 30 minutes just exploding, if you can explode at 63 years old with no testosterone, and just feeling great. There ain't nothing better than working out, shit, shower, shave, and you're ready to kick ass and do whatever your real job is.
All right, we're going to come back to this in a little bit when you got into your bodybuilding, some of the contests that you entered. We'll get into that, but let's go through some of these tweets. Check this one out. You said the object of wrestling is to win the match, not get all your shit in like a mark. You winning?
Yeah.
Make your foe shine because you're winning.
Well, when I get finishes, I said, look, you stupid son of a bitch, book backwards. I'm winning. So I'm going to make you look like the greatest son of a bitch and wrestler in the fucking world because I'm going to beat you decisively. So I'm going to beat somebody. And now if the roles were reversed, if you're going to beat me and decisively, I'm going to beat the shit out of you because I'm going to beat King Kong and you're going to beat King Kong decisively. So I know what you can do, but we don't need all them stupid false finishes that mean nothing anyway just to get your fucking shit in. And it ain't going to goddamn happen. I hate that shit because the false finishes should be saved for the upper echelon matches. The first so many matches, you should never have an object touch the fucking referee, stay in the goddamn ring. We're painting a boring thing of basics. We want basics. So if the first match is a sunset flip, in the main event, they can use that as a false finish. If the second match, if the finish is a goddamn O'Connor roll-up, we can use that as a false finish. So we can take all these finishes we use underneath, and we can use them as false finishes in the semi-main event and the main event. And then nobody ever goes outside until the last goddamn match. And we're telling a story. We're painting a picture. This ain't for you. This is a team effort. It's like in baseball, the guy is supposed to get on, the second guy bunts him over to second, and the third and fourth hitter is supposed to drive that son of a bitch in, and that's the way it is. So this is a team effort. Everybody with no ego does what is told, does what the best you can do to get this product over, so we all have a job, so we can run more towns and make more goddamn money.
And what you're saying,
I just hate.
But what you're saying is, like, if you work in a card, first match, stay in the ring. Whatever they tell you to do, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, just go out there, get the match, get the people off their ass, have a good match, but have a good back and forth match, whatever it is, finish, and then get out. Let the next guys come in there. They don't need to be going outside the damn ring, fighting, brawling, using the chairs, using the stairs, all the cliche stuff. They need to keep their ass in the ring so you can build to the main event. So, and talking about all the false finishes, especially in the last few pay-per-views I've seen, everybody's using everything but the kitchen sink. The DDT has been so. Jesus Christ, the DDT, and it's sad that there's a poison named DDT because of the finish. When Jake the Snake Roberts used that motherfucker, I mean, holy smokes, it was lights out, and now it's basically used as a real weak or lame false finish or even a transition into something, but it's been bastardized so damn bad. There's no use in even hitting it because everybody knows it's not going to work, whether it's done in the middle of the ring or off the second rope into the ring.
Well, you're right, but that's on the office, and it's their money. If I'm the boss, nobody does the stunner except you. Nobody does the DDT except Jake. Everybody's got their own shit, and you stay away from it. If somebody accidentally does it, then the announcer buries them, saying, well, he don't do it as good as Jake. So all you're going to do is get the guy that's his signature move, you're just going to put them over. Unless we would bring in a stunner unless we work a 6-month program where it's stunner versus stunner or something like that. You know what I mean? But everybody's got their own niche. And like when you have the first match, I said, okay, you just watch the first match. The second match, whatever they did, don't do it. The third match, you've seen 2 matches. Whatever they did, don't do it. The fourth match, you've seen all them together. Whatever they did, don't do it. If you have a problem with that, then you have no business being a professional wrestler. You're supposed to be fucking good. You're supposed to be pro. You're supposed to be the cream of the crop. This is supposed to be your goddamn dream, and you should have dissected this with no ego, every kind of wrestling psychology there fucking is. I get fucking wound up on this shit, sorry.
There's a lot of guys back in the day when we'd be working, whether it's USWA or World Championship Wrestling or even WWF way back in the day. It'd be 4th, 5th, 6th on the card and wouldn't watch matches. And, sometimes, Rip, you roll up and just everybody's working an arm. All of a sudden, the main event gets out there. They didn't pay attention to what was going on in the first 7, 8 matches, and all of a sudden they're working an arm. And the crowd's done seen it, probably 5 times, and all of a sudden they're doing the same shit. So if you ain't been watching the card, okay, arm, leg, back, neck, you got to pick something different because every now and then it's one of the boys will just get on just by happenstance. Everybody works the arm, or everybody works the leg, and then everybody's doing that the whole night. So the main event gets out there, and shit, guess what? They've already seen this set 6 times. Well,
you're right on all of them, but I got arm, leg, neck, stomach, back, or brawl, baby. So I would tell everybody, if I'm writing them down when I'm booking, I said work this body part. Use this as your anchor. Get your heat on this body part. So everything was different.
Gotcha.
And then that way nobody's stepping on any toes. Nobody. I remember one night Rick DeRude come in and started getting mad at me because I used a headlock. I said, well, goddamn, Rick, I didn't know you had the goddamn patent on that son of a bitch. Don't you know more than a headlock? Please. Jesus Christ.
I was going to ask you about Rick Rude and the headlock spot in a couple of questions. I'm glad you went there. I was on a hunting lease in South Georgia with Rick Rude and Paul Orndorff, and goddamn, we had a blast. We didn't kill any deer. We just, we had fun. 3 guys in a cabin in the middle of nowhere was badass. And those 2, especially Rick Rude, were real characters. What was your relationship with that guy? The thing I appreciated about Rick was, hey, he was right up front. He would tell you right to your face what was on his mind. He wouldn't mince words. Yeah. He wouldn't stab you in the back. He was a man's man. You can't say that about a lot of guys in the business. What were your thoughts on Rick?
Well, when I first met him, I was working for Bill Watts, and Watts paid me well to teach guys like. So I was working underneath, and I had black hair. He said, if you try and get over, I'm firing you. I said, don't worry, I can be as boring as the rest of them. So Rick came in, and I guess he had hepatitis or something, and hell, he must have weighed about 190 pounds or something. And he was really looking, because he was a tall guy.
Yeah.
And then he was like skinny as a rail in his first match back, and he was just really, nervous, and the skills wasn't there and everything. But he sure picked up the game after he got out of there. And I think we was talking about the story with it coming out of the Bayfront Center, and the Lincoln was gone from Memphis. He come in from Memphis to Tampa, and then all of a sudden, he didn't make the payment. He come out after the show, and that son bitch was gone. Oh man, I remember working with Paul down there for Cornette and Smoky Mountain. So I'm working, and hell, I used to go down the matches when Paul was starting down there with Jarrett, and hell, he was like a goddamn icon in Tampa from Tampa football and shit, and just a fucking stud. And I just fucking laughed. We got in the ring, didn't prearrange nothing, and it was just all them guys from Tampa were just so fucking great. If you got trained in Tampa, you fucking got that shit. You know what I mean? He was so fucking good, so goddamn light. We had so much fucking fun, and it never touched in the ring before. It was just it was just so much fun, and you sit there and shake your head when you get two guys in there that have paid their fucking dues, had all your fucking how many thousands of matches. You can have so much fun and not break a goddamn sweat, and the business is just so much fun. Oh shit!
And you're working the people. I feel like today almost the people are working the boys. But let me digress. Let's get into this next tweet you sent. You said, "Baby faces, let the heel be a heel to make the match easier. Faces, never cheat first or throw the first strike. Heels, don't be a cool heel." Let's talk about the first part. Let the heel be a heel to make the match easier, and faces, never cheat first or throw the first punch.
Okay, it's like, let me get my entrance in. Let me be cocky or what I'm doing. You're the good guy. Let them people hate me as much as they can. Don't threaten to punch me. I'll threaten to punch you. Then you ball your fist up, and I'll back away and bitch about that. So let me be the bad guy. You be the good guy. I'm a heel, but I'm not going to be a cool heel. I don't want cheers. If I want cheers, be a goddamn babyface. Get the hot women, the food, the better payoffs, and sell the goddamn gimmicks. But no, I want to be a heel because I love being a heel.
When do you think the first cool heel, who do you think the first cool heel was? Or when did that trend start to happen in your estimation?
I don't know, because I don't watch TV wrestling. So anything I'll do, I'll see something on my phone or something. But I know, guys, I understand the wrestling heel that starts out patting himself on the back, and then the baby face catches up, then he starts surpassing, then he gets rugged with him. I understand all that. But the business has changed. It's like when they had the Shield walking through the crowd, them motherfuckers would have beat me half to fucking death and kicked you and thrown shit at you and tried to hit you with a chair and shit if you'd have walked through that fucking crowd like that. Just exposing the business. And when the biggest company in the world exposes the business, what are you supposed to do? Say, oh, no, they're lying? When they show you how they do it, and they're showing how Harry Houdini does his tricks and shit, and then you just got to go with it because that's just the way it is, you know. So, but you still try and have some psychology with it. But now I'm fucking rambling again, Steve.
Well, you brought up a WWE, so there's my next tweet. WWE, well, it's your next tweet. WWE is VKM's company. It's his.
Yes.
So he will push who he wants and do as he wants, just as you would do if you were in his shoes. Reality. That's what you tweeted.
Yeah. That's just,
is that in response to all the people? Is that in response to all the IWC talking about they want so and so pushed, or you're pushing so and so too hard?
Yeah, that's it exactly. That's it exactly. Just sit back and enjoy the product. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Then, if he decides to change something, he will. But you don't tell him what to do. You wouldn't be I say, fuck you, you goddamn mark. Go fuck yourself. This is my company. I've got long-range plans, which I'm not sharing with you. It's my company.
But people need to watch if you want to watch wrestling or watch WWE, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, whatever show you're watching, watch it for the sake of what's going on the screen. Don't concern yourself with the writing aspect of it. Watch the product. Right.
That's like everybody that watches NFL football, they think they're smarter than the coach, because they're in fantasy football and they watch NFL every week. So, hell, they know what's going on more than the coach does. He's only around those guys in film 20 hours a day. So what the hell does he know when the fans know more than he does? And wrestling's the same way, So the thing about it used to be electricity in the air. It was like a UFC atmosphere. It was a contest. It was like a goddamn, since I'm from Indiana, IU Purdue game, where it depends where it was at, where you had whoever was the baby faces and who was heels, but they love the baby faces and they hate the heels. Now you go to an event that's sort of like the Ice Capade, or it's sort of like the Harlem Globetrotters, ha ha ha. Or we can get on TV if we do these yells and shit, and let's steal the show and we can be over. And I'm just strictly old school. I'm too old to change. I know what I like. I know it would still work because people are still basically the same. So that's that.
All right. You said your strikes are supposed to look vicious without hurting your opponent, not look phony and knock the shit out of them. Learn your craft. Practice. I understand what you're saying there. Can you give me an instance of somebody whose shit didn't look great but hurt the fuck out of you and vice versa?
I don't want to mention any names.
I understand that.
Some guys looking like it knocks your dick off and they don't fucking touch you. Lanny Poffo could punch you right in the jaw, right in the mouth, right in the nose with that big right hand and not fucking touch you. It looked like it knocked your fucking head off. I can't help if he didn't get the push or whatever, but as far as the beauty of that fucking punch, that son of a bitch practiced that son of a bitch on me for I don't know how long before he got that thing down. And it's just a work of art. And then you have there's nothing worse than a punch that looks phony and knocks your dick off, right? Just like I would call it like the Bulldog Brown kick, Rest in peace, Bulldog, baby.
Another guy like Lanny Poffo was Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express. They're fixing to go into the Hall of Fame for WWE. I don't know if you heard that or not. But that goddamn working with Ricky Morton was a dream just because. There's a tweet about it later on because I think you love working with Ricky too because he was another guy. He goes, Ricky's not worried about getting his shit in because he's going over. But that was the guy. All his shit looked pro style, snugged up. You couldn't feel a thing. All his punches were dead on, and they looked amazing. Right. And he was just a fantastic worker, fantastic seller, great fire, great mean streak. He had it all. He was amazing.
He got it. What can you say? He got it. Most guys don't get it, but he got it. Of course, he was a wrestler's kid. He was around the business his whole life. But then again, some guys still don't get it. So I don't know, but he was just real easy to work with. We'd work and we just call it in the ring, and we just fucking laugh the whole time. It was just so much fun. We knew we could give the people a guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, there'll be no violence in this match. We guarantee it.
Hey Rick, Rip, when was the first time you realized you could actually have fun inside the squared circle? Because as I was coming through the business in USWA and then in World Championship Wrestling in Atlanta, I think it was about 4 or 5 years in, because, I was so caught up in the grind of learning the mechanics, just learning one-on-one psychology. You're serious because you don't know that you can actually have fun. And all of a sudden, I'm out there with Jesus Christ. It was Brian Armstrong, Road Dogg, and and we were out there in center stage having a TV match, and there was some shit going on, and I'm telling him, hey man, look over here. There was this hot girl in the crowd, and he goes, where? I repositioned myself right there. He goes, oh yeah. So we went over, fought outside the ring, over to the guardrail, and I dropped him on the guardrail. But after I realized I could have fun out there, it really took the pressure off of me. And this was still in the days where we're calling every single thing in the ring and basically finish everything. So when was it for you that you realized you could have that fun? Because that really lifted a load off my mind, the pressure, and just performance.
Well, when I started, I was just so fucking rotten. And I tell everybody, every mistake in the business I already made. So don't feel bad. You're all better than me when I started. So when I turned heel and I teamed up with Randy Savage in Nashville, I started getting it. And then after that, it wasn't any problem understanding it anymore. I was the world's horriblest babyface, but as a fucking heel, I understood it pretty well from my experience. Of course, I was surrounded to hell. I had the Popos. I had Ronnie Garvin. I had Boris Malenko. I had Randy Orton's dad. I had Bob Roop. I had all these guys that were great pros, and all I had to do was shut the fuck up and watch them and listen to them. So I was in hog heaven. I knew I was just shit compared to these great fucking wrestlers. I just wanted to be hopefully as good as them maybe 10 years from now, because this is like being a doctor. This shit is so fucking hard. The psychology, the moves are irrelevant. I mean, anybody can go on a diet, anybody can work out, anybody can look good, anybody can do the moves. But to place this shit where you need to learn the fucking facials, to learn all the fucking the movements, the body language, when, how, when, who, when, where, what, why. Why are you doing this? At what speed? To learn all this shit takes so much failure before that little light bulb goes off in your head and you finally start to understand that shit. You'll be going back, you'll be smiling. I finally understand what the hell they're talking about now. Holy moly, was that fucking fun.
And you know what? Sometimes you get on that streak rip, and then all of a sudden, right when you think you got it, you get this swell of confidence. You go out there and you shit the bed, you damn near kill a town. You're like, what the fuck? I thought I was picking this up.
Oh, yeah, that happens. What happens a lot of times is we get pigeonholed into thinking every audience is different, right? And you have to fucking be able to read that audience. They said, no, they don't want comedy. They want a wrestling match. They want some fucking violence. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to read that son-of-a-bitch. I got to be able to take that baby face and pull the best of what he can do. And if he can do 5 things, we're going to do that 5 things. And we ain't going to shoot for an A, but we're going to shoot for a C+. And I'm going to make these fuckers believe this son-of-a-bitch is competitive. And that's all we want. And then we do whatever finish the office wants.
You know, it's funny how some of the crowds are, you know, when you go to, whatever loop you're on, whatever territory you're in, and first match goes out there and they come back. Well, most everybody's watching, but if they're not, hey, man, how's the crowd? Oh, man, they're popping on everything, basic shit. I mean, depending on where you are or how long it's been since you've been there, I mean, sometimes it's the guy that works. And that's what I'm talking about, test of strength, the yay, boo. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about bullshit stuff. Some people, I mean, they want the main event shit, or they're ready for just wrestling in general. But, just by that, listen to that first match go out there, oh, fuck. Or it could be the opposite. These motherfuckers are dead. I don't even know why they bought a ticket. But you got to read that crowd, like you said.
What I tell everybody, I said the first spot, they haven't seen anything, is a tackle. And sell the son of a bitch. What happens? Oh, tackle, drop down, leapfrog, 3 arm drags, drop kick, go to the floor. Nobody, they don't take none of it in. Sell the fun. I remember me and Dick Murdoch had every spot was a tackle. And every tackle knocked me to the floor. And he just fucking laughed. And I told him, shut the fuck, you jabroni. You're the goddamn babyface. I'm the heel. I'm leading this son of a bitch. He's fucking laughing. And then he was supposed to brainbuster me, and he wouldn't. He said, no, I ain't brainbustering you. Fuck you. We did the old The greatest finisher of all time, the roll-up.
Hey, how was Dickie Murdoch to work with? Because, man, I watched, that guy. Of course, I got a chance to meet him and talk to him a little bit, but this was when I was I don't even know if I was Stunning Steve yet. Everybody knew that guy could work his ass off, and a lot of people considered him, world champion material.
I thought he was world champion material, but then again, you got to remember, where did he break in at? Amarillo.
Right.
Here. We got all those from Brody to fucking Hanson to fucking Tito Santana to DiBiase, all those guys, right? Manny, for all those guys that play football and everything, right?
Right.
And here he is. He could work he was a huge man, and he could work like a small guy. And then during these matches, when he's selling, all of a sudden he'd have to throw some Three Stooges comedy shit in there, and that would just turn them fucking Eddie Grahams and the goddamn Sam Muchnick fucking making them go crazy and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was so good. But I worked with him in St. Louis TV at the Chase when I was double fucking rotten, and I said, Murdoch, you fucking cocksucker, you about broke my fucking jaw in goddamn the Chase. And I didn't even tell him how rotten I was. He goes, well, hell, I remember that. You moved. Holy shit.
Hey, Rip, tell me about this tweet. Don't use baby oil in the ring, period. You're asking for trouble. Either you or your opponent can slip and get hurt. Be safe at all times. Please tell me about baby oil, because I hated it when motherfuckers wore that stuff.
I wouldn't. If guys had baby oil, I'd make them go out. I tell them, but don't put none of that shit on. I ain't going to be there. Fuck you. I'm not going to get hurt. You're not going to get hurt. Slip off the fucking rope. I go to fucking slam you to slip off. Something's going to be screwed up because you're too goddamn lazy to go on a goddamn diet and do your fucking tanning and shaving and shit. Just fucking do it. I said, you're not training for the Olympia anyway. You're the baby face. It doesn't matter. But no fucking baby oil. Just a little, because you're going to fucking sweat out there. I don't even like the water because you're going to start sweating soon anyway. But baby oil, I've seen too many guys get goddamn hurt with that shit, and it's just something we don't need. Because if I get hurt or you get hurt, hell, in the territory days, they'd float you a day or two, then they just fire your ass because you couldn't perform. The show must go on.
And I'll tell you a thing about that baby oil or the hot stuff, the vasodilator you use to bodybuild. You know about that hot stuff. The guys that spray it on, it'd make their veins come on and come out. And that was just, it was like baby oil on steroids. So, and it made your eyes burn if you got it in your eyes, and you're working with these guys. So inevitably it's going to get in your eyes, but those ropes are taped up with tape. And to the listeners out there, as you well know, Rip, if those ropes get all that oil on them, if you're going over the top rope with a clothesline or if someone shit cans you over the top, you're trying to grab that top rope to protect your livelihood, take a safe bump. Those things get all oiled up. Mister, watch out, because you might not have a chance to grab shit because you can't hang on to it because it's got all that baby oil on it. And so you can't grab the ropes, or sometimes if you go in, if the ropes are so slippery, one might slip over your damn shoulder, you hit your neck on that cable, or you go to send the guy in. A lot of guys, instead of wearing black athletic tape, would use black electrical tape. Well, you put baby oil on top of black electrical tape that's on a baby oil wrist. You send a guy in, try to reverse it, and you slip. You lose the grip. You blow the high spot. Yep. You look like a couple of J-Brones. It's just a shits.
Yep. And once you do it, you don't get no do-overs. So it's a whole lot easier just not to use the goddamn baby oil.
Rip, because I was so damn ashy and white, I would pour water. You weren't a water guy. I would do the water, didn't do the baby oil, just so I wouldn't look so goddamn ashy. But let me ask you about this tweet here. This talks about some of the equipment. Always tuck the laces of your boots in. I saw a guy blinded from a bootlace hitting him in the eye on an enziguri kick. What the fuck happened, Rip? I never heard nothing like that. Now, when I broke in, they told me, hey, tuck your laces. I didn't know why, but I tucked them in because it was a cleaner look. I never did know about that safety factor. So what happened?
Well, just what happened right there. When I got in, Randy Savage, he showed me how to do the parachute cord and to burn the ends, right? But some of the old guys, or later on, they would have the long shoelaces out, they might be out like 7 or 8 inches. So them things are flipping around and shit, right? And that goddamn Zarf hit the guy right in the eye. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and it was probably a 1 in a million thing, but that's a 1 in a million thing that I don't ever want to see happen to me or anybody else. So just tuck your goddamn things in. That's like guys that practicing in church and they kick them in the stomach and their foot gets. I had 3 guys tear their knee up because their foot got caught in somebody's T-shirt because the T-shirt was not tucked in. So you learn by failure. You see all this shit of how to try to keep another accident from fucking happening.
Here's a little nuance in a match. Let's talk about, maybe it's again towards the end of a match. You said after a double knockout, please have the heel get up first. You want to make the face the underdog as much as possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so simple. As long as the heel's always up first, the baby face gets more sympathy. And it's so simple that we've tried to change shit. Now you can say, oh yeah, the baby face could get up first and he could go to slam him and the heel could kick his legs and his leg go back out. But why do that? Because he went down, then he got strong getting up first. Now he's back down again. Just stay underneath. You're fighting from underneath because you're going to win anyway. So just shut the fuck up and do as you're told. Don't think. You're a stupid baby face.
Would you have to tell a guy that?
Would I tell a guy that? Jesus Christ. That's my fucking problem my whole goddamn life.
Hey, whether you're building a house, a story, a game plan, or a wrestling match, it all starts with a solid base or foundation. That's one of the things you really harp on and preach is basic fundamentals. You're not into all the fancy moves and shit. You're all about wrestling and basics to be able to go that 30 minutes, to be able to go that hour, to be able to tell that story and to build that solid foundation with which then you can get to all the bells and whistles with.
Well, it's just like basketball. A guy I had in class, he was telling me about Kobe Bryant, how he was there 4 hours early, doing nothing but what he needed to do. He said he had to make 800 jumpers every day, you know what I mean? Because to be the best, nothing but basics. So it's muscle memory. No matter how tired you are, you still got that touch, you still got your form. And how in the world in any sport can you play a game and not practice? You might practice in that NFL, you're on that fucking shit squad, the practice squad, and you might not never get in a game and you're practicing every fucking play just for that one time when you can get in there. And it's nothing but basics. Basics. But since we know wrestling is not real, they don't think they need to do the basics. They want to do all their cool shit to get their there's got to be 9 flies to the floor in each match, and there's got to be how many 360s. But let's fool the fans so we can kick out on all of them, so that way we can be tough. Let's kill every move there is. Holy shit! Don't get me going on that one.
I'll give you something else to go on. If you wear kick pads in your match, you ever think the fans know you're trying to protect your opponent, where you're supposed to be trying to kill them?
Yeah, so that's pretty simple, isn't it?
You got an axe to grind about these kick pads on the shin.
Yeah, It's just like Randy Orton's dad. He would give you a knee drop. Then he would pull that knee pad down. Now all of a sudden he's got bone on bone, doesn't he? Then you would double sell that son of a bitch and maybe get a little fucking gap and roll the fucking floor and everything. But here we have fucking kick pads. No, I'm wearing these pads so I don't hurt you. Now how fucked up is that? When we're supposed to give the illusion at least we're trying to beat somebody's ass. Now what hurts more? A guy's boxing with 16-ounce gloves or guys fucking bare fucking knuckles. It's the same fucking shit. And this is how stupid we are. And the promoters allow that fucking shit. I'm just fucking old. I guess there's too much reality in that shit. I don't know.
But that's one that I hadn't even thought of until you brought it up. I was like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. I never looked at it that way, and I should have. So that's one that missed me, but it completely makes sense to me.
But you didn't wear kick pads, right?
No, dude. And there's for a while when I was a dumb motherfucker in WCW, I wore my knee pads just like everybody else did. And then I said, man, I'm going real old school. I'm just going to shit can these things and just not wear them. I'm wear my short trunks and my boots. That's it. And so I did that for a couple of years. And people always ask me why. And to this day, I can't tell you why. It was just something I decided to do. But look, looking back, probably should have kept the knee pads on.
Well, I had knee pads for years, but you know how they lose the elasticity or whatever?
Yeah.
And I was so fucking cheap, I wasn't going to buy no new ones, right? Then some bitches slide down my ankles all the time. So Regal gave me them red ones that he sewed up for me. They weren't real knee pads, but they were just little like...
Those neoprene sleeves.
Yes. So all of a sudden I wore them some bitches.
Hey, you brought up a common friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, in Steve Regal, Lord William Regal, whatever you want to call him. I just call him Steve. Where and when did you meet him? Because my first memory of Steve Regal, when he came over from England, World Championship Wrestling, he worked with somebody. I don't know, he was on before I was or right after I was. It doesn't matter. And I was just kind of a mid-card guy at the time, and he went out there and I watched his match, and I said, God damn, he was out there selling his ass off. And when he made a comeback, he had great fire. And immediately I went up to him and I said, hey, man, I said, my name is Steve Austin. And he said, hey, Steve Regal. And I said, hey, man, I just want to tell you, man, I love your work. I said, that was awesome. And he, he's very humble. Thanks. And so me and him, had become real close friends over the years. And to this day, we're still friends. And he was a hell of a goddamn worker. So how was it that you and him befriended of each other? Because he always says great things about you.
Well, we were in, I went in to work for Big Fat Otto, right? Otto in
Otto Voss,
Germany. Yeah. And he was there. Now, he got bumped the year before for something, but he was there, Fit was there, Dave Taylor was there, right?
Yep.
So me and the Lord, we roomed together and went in the caravan in Hanover and Bremen. And then we stayed in the hostels in Vienna and Graz. And when we were in Graz, I said, hey, you want to go WCW? He said, what? I said, you want to go WCW? I'll get you in. He says, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to write a letter for you like I'm you. But I know what Bill Watts wants. So he wrote him a letter. And then within a matter of days, when he talked to Chrissy, she said that, we got a letter here from Bill Watts. And so he offered him a job, but he wouldn't go because he was booked. So Watts liked him even more because he was going to stay the whole season there.
Right.
So that was cool.
Man,
that was fun.
I've heard a lot of stories about the caravans over there in Germany. Were y'all working straight time, or y'all working 5-minute rounds like I used to watch on World of Sport?
No, it was the rounds. It was the rounds.
How did you like that? That sounds really tough to me, to work 5-minute rounds.
Oh, Steve, that's the easiest thing in the world. Holy shit. Just think. Let's say we're going 5 rounds, right? And we can tell a different story every round, can't we? You could hurt your knee. We could work on a knee, or you can work you can change everything.
Right.
And you can have the heel barely holding on, or the baby face holding on for the round. You know what I mean? And it's just so much fun. And I never got to do that before. And then I started loving that style. And then they had the speaker where they find the guys, right? So Finley was so good, he'd have a championship match, and that some bitch make about $800. They had the evil referee finding the good guy, and the marks would come out and pay the fucking fines. Then they would split it with like Fit against the baby face, and then the speaker, the guy who announced, and the referee, they were all in on it. So they all cut that money up, right? And you could make a fucking... got a kayfabe on the thing, but what the fuck, right?
Hey, but when you mentioned Dave Taylor, Steve Regal, and Fit Finley, man, all 3 of those guys can work their ass off, but Fit Finley might be one of the best workers I've ever seen.
I come back and I said, Ole Anderson, there's this guy named Fit Finley. I said, it's a different style and it's not television oriented, but I think this motherfucker is the best heel I've ever seen. And Ole, he goes, well, how big is he? I said, fuck, Ole, I don't know. I didn't even think about how big he was. I just knew that son of a bitch was the man. Yep. And I don't care if he's 5'2" or 7'3". he was the fucking man. And every time he took control of everything. So that baby face was always an underdog. But when it was time to fucking make that fucking comeback, and he'd fucking staggered, finally take that fucking bump, and man, I was just a fucking mark for him. Jesus Christ, he was so fucking good.
Well, I was too, and you always talk about mannerisms. And he had the mannerisms. He was just an evil, diabolical son of a bitch. He'd take as many shortcuts, cheat as much as he could. When he covered, a lot of guys try to use that cross face. He did it with malice. He looked like he was always trying to inflict pain. He had a mean streak in him, and he just had that posture. Everything he did, he intended to hurt you. So, but he took control of that ring. If there was ever a ring general and a fucking a technician that was a solid 10, it's him. That's how much I respected his work.
Right. When I went over there, I was going in as a heel, right? And the first night the numbers were wrong. He says, "Can you do a babyface queer gimmick?" I said, "Fuck, I worked with Adrian Street for 6 years." Yeah, hell yeah. So after the first night, they said, "Oh no, you do this." I said, "What?" I said, "I'm a fucking heel." "Oh no, this is better." I said, "Well, okay, you're the boss. You're paying me. That's what you want." So I became a fucking the shirt lifter, the poof, the dinner masher. So did the queer gimmick. So anyway, the first time I worked with Fit, he fucking destroyed me. And he'd give me nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm laying there. So I'm making him carry me out. And I said, "I think he gave me too much love." Because you got to remember, the English guys, it was a big deal for them to go to Germany, okay? And they would bring in Americans so that it would cut their buddies out, you know what I mean? So they pretty much hated us. It's just like when I go up and work for Stu, they get mad because that made a local Canada boy couldn't work, and they'd bring me in there, and I would be the heel till I would take the boys out and have a good time, and then I was a ringleader. But going in, they didn't like the Americans because it was easier for the Americans to go there than for them to try and go to a different country.
Man, I'm just guessing, but the caravan lifestyle seemed like a nonstop party. Was it?
Oh, my God. Well, I'm not going to mention any names, but when I went into one guy's caravan, and I've seen a lot of guys with 2 girls, but when he had 3, that motherfucker was over with me. 3 of them. He says, "No, I said, "Oh, no." This is before camera phones and shit, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh man, I wish I had a Polaroid." You know what I mean? I said, "You are the most over son of a." He said, "No, but I said, no. They're all for you." And I'm going to tell everybody what a stud you are. Oh no. But God, that was. It's just like this thing. See, we was in Hanover 70 days in a row wrestling. Then the last night they had the big show. No, they had the big show, and they went to the big building and did 10,000 people. They'd bring Snuka in, they'd bring the Road Warriors in, they'd bring Eddie Gilbert come in, and they would have. It would be like people would save all year to get season tickets. And like if Snuka would come in, it'd cost an extra $4 or whatever. Or you'd have or Fit might have a championship match, and they'd bring in Eddie. He worked with Eddie Gilbert, and Eddie says, "What's he like?" I said, "Oh, you're in for a rude awakening, love." And he goes, "I never seen anything like that." I said, "He's the human buzzsaw." So before every match or the night, Otto will go, "Remember, no poking in the eyes, no kicking the balls, and don't drink before your match." So the first thing Fit would do was poke him in the eyes, kick him in the balls, and he'd be drinking whiskey and something else as Otto's talking to him. God, he was just like the bad boy of a movie or something. It was just whatever you wasn't supposed to do, he was going to do it. I'd go to the club at night, and he'd say, "Tell me when you have to go to the bathroom." I'd say, "Fit, I gotta go to the bathroom." All of a sudden, he'd get up and walk towards the bathroom. It was like a parting of the Red Seas. All the marks would they see him coming. They just run away from him.
Really?
Because he'd always break people's thumbs and stuff. So, oh wow, and I'm a pacifist. I'm nonviolent. And then here's this guy. I think he will. Well, hell, his dad was the goddamn the wrestling coach for wherever country he was from.
From Ireland.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, before shooting, how would he break these thumbs?
He just grab it and twist it, and you know how it's just tendon, right?
Right.
And these guys' thumbs would be hanging sideways and shit, and your thumbs never heal up either. He
so
was just,
that mean streak he had in the ring was a shoot.
Yes, he was just at one time. Now he's not that way anymore, but he was pure evil. But he was funny though.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he meant any malice by it. I think that was fun to him. As fucked up as that sounds. I mean, it's kind of malicious, but I don't think he meant it in a bad way. That's just who he was.
Yeah.
Hey, talk to me about this tweet. You only have so many bumps on your bump card. Use them wisely and sell them properly. Think longevity. It's your body. Bumps on a bump card.
Well, we all get carried away.
Yep.
And we could all take 3 arms, a hip toss, and a slam, or you could take 1 hip toss, crawl out of the ring, half-ass crawl. You can take 1 and act like it's 10, because we've only got so many goddamn bullets in the gun, and then we don't have any more. And our bodies are the same way. So it's best to learn that. You can preach it all you want, but it ain't going to happen, and I know that. But I feel better preaching it, because once you get an injury, like if you hurt your left knee, then your right knee becomes your bad one. You hurt your left shoulder, you compensate, then the other one gets so bad. So, or you hurt the left side of your back, then the right side gets bad. It's because you're always protecting yourself on these bumps and everything, and then you're pretty much completely messed up. So if you learn to sell your bumps properly, then you don't have to do as many of them. But that's what that was all about, because we all do way too much stuff, because we love to perform, we love to take bumps, because when you're young, you don't even feel them, and you just love the rest of the business.
Yeah, and that's like, when you've got, 10 years in the business, that's when you kind of smarten up to it. I mean, certainly, maybe some people smarten up faster than I did, but, in your mid-30s, like, fuck, people will tell you, hey, slow down, kid. You only got so many bumps on your bump card. You don't understand it. Hey, fuck you. I'm good. Right. No, okay, now I'm 52. Now I see what they were talking about 10 years later. So it's not till 10, 15, 20 years later you're going to feel this shit. So when guys are telling you that, they're trying to give you a little heads up. First of all, if you're really, really over, you ain't got to do all that shit. What are you doing it for? You're not working the people. You're out working yourself. You're putting yourself in a lot of positions that you ain't even got to be in, and you're over. So you got so many you only got so many bumps on your bump card. You got to take that to heart.
Yeah, that's like my mom said. Jimmy Valiant, he doesn't do anything. I said, Mom, that's why he's over. Everybody else wants to do everything, and he just sits there and bobs his fucking head, and he's over. So the hardest thing in wrestling is to slow down and not to do so much stuff. But we all want to run instead of fucking. We all want to run down and fuck the one girl instead of walking down and fucking them all, right? And wrestling's the same way.
But going off that, Rip, reaction does not mean you're over.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Hold on to your jingle bells. Pluto TV has all your holiday favorites for free. Enjoy Christmas classics like Scrooge with Bill Murray or Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. Plus, dive into festive channels like Holiday Movie Favorites by Lifetime or Hallmark Movies and more. Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming holiday favorites on live channels and on demand. With thousands of free movies and TV shows, Pluto TV is your home for the holidays. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Hey everybody, I'm Brian Loans, the lead broadcaster for the NHRA, and now the host of the Hot Rod Pod, Where It All Began by Motor Trend. This will be a new series that'll knock your socks off. We're going to talk to the biggest engine builders, drag racers, competitors, hot rod builders, and more, the movers and shakers of the high-performance aftermarket, both legends past, present, and future, and I'll be joined by a great rotating cast of co-hosts. Whether it's John McGann, the editor of Hot Rod Magazine, whether it's David Freiberger of Roadkill, or a bunch of stars that you know and love from the automotive media, this is a new series that is going to take our show and our brand to the next level. I'm Brian Loans with the Hot Rod Pod, Where It All Began. Make sure you download the Hot Rod Pod wherever you get your podcasts.